Amazing. Good to see you again. We're up to the fifth video, second last, of the Human Design and Creative Flow series, The Life in Flow. So, series one, we've gone through disconnected and deconditioning, in sync with cycles, auric types, the experiment, and today we're talking about authority. And we touched on this already in the in sync with cycles. We're going to go into authority a little bit deeper today. Again, talking about the 4 different auric types, and within those auric types, the different possibilities of the specific authorities. Manifesting generators and generators have the sacral definition. So for these both types, you can have either a sacral authority or you can be an emotional authority. So the sacral is moving to how you know that authority is speaking to you is with a I've been talking about these body movements. That's really that sacral definition in these generator types. And you'll notice, so it's a yes, and people talk about it in terms of yes and no, but it's like there is a guttural noise, like a primal noise that, or it's going it's almost like a grunt for no. Both of the sacral and the emotional authority types have that same sacral or response. However, the emotional adds in a waiting for the wave cycle, which I've already mentioned. There are 3 types of wave. So if you're an emotional authority, there's still differences amongst all of the people with the emotional authority. There can be a tribal wave, a collective wave, or an individual wave. These look a little bit different. Some of them are a little bit more stable, so you may not notice as much like these heightened or lower emotional states. And some of them are quite like it's an abrupt up and an abrupt down. For the tribal, it's actually continuously raising like upward movement until it crashes back down to the bottom. So there's these 3 different ways that the waves could look like. So it's not only knowing that you have the emotional authority, but it's checking in with the or the the moving towards, moving away from, waiting for the emotional cycle, which type of wave it looks like. This is where we go back to that journaling and taking note and tracking of how you're feeling, in order to sort of get familiar with what that emotional wave state looks like. If you're just a sacral without the emotional authority, then you do have faster access to, it's really that movement towards the and the movement towards something. I have the energy to do this, or no, I don't have the energy to do it. But there is more consistent access to energy for these sacral types. The manifestors can have ego authority, splenic authority, or an emotional authority. If they have the ego authority, it means they've got that activated will center. They need to listen to what they say to know what they like, what their truth is. They need to hear themselves say it. I will do this thing. I will go and make this new thing. And then once they hear themselves say that, they can recognize that, and that is their authority. If they're like, that's, they don't have the that's the sacral, that they will then, feel the motivation to prove that they will do that thing that they heard themselves say that they will do. There is a force in it. They surrender to the truth of their voice. So like there's them speaking what it is they're going to do. That informing practice is really a large part of their authority. Splenic is a little bit different. So there might be a manifestor who has a very subtle, soft inner voice, which is more about primal awareness, instinct, and knowing. So it's constant and spontaneous. So you need to be listening, like quiet enough to hear it tell you it's updated information. It may say, it may be guiding you in really subtle ways to like go to the event, change your mind, go home, go to the shops, get the bananas, don't get bananas, get an apple, don't get an apple. Like, I'm trying to just use really small examples, but like, it's being alert to the subtle, constantly changing and spontaneous direction. So I can imagine, I don't have splenic authority, but I don't have a defined spleen, but I can only imagine that it would get drowned out quite often, again, with external stuff. And it gets drowned out if you're abusing your body, if you're not careful with your inner health, then it's going to be hard to hear. So getting in touch with that splenic or that spleen authority is going to help with those manifestations. The emotional manifester, it kind of goes back to, like, it links with what I was just saying with the sacral. It's the same type of waiting for the wave. So there will still be an emotional experience, like either the tribal, the collective, or the individual type of wave. But then you're going back to that key point of, like, did I speak it? Am I about to, like, bring this into manifestation? And do I have the will to prove that I will do it, or I will get it done? And so it's kind of comes back to that manifester actualization. So it brings the the will into action through the voice, through speaking it. And then there are, of course, these three different subgroups. So, like, checking in with that the splenic authority, the emotional authority, or the ego authority. Now, the projectors, they can have splenic. So I've just talked about splenic, that instantaneous resonance, or that inner knowing, and it continues to change. Self-directed is another type of authority. So they have a powerful voice of identity. They need to, again, listen to their voice to know if the invitation is part of their direction. So they may be speaking what it is that they identify with, like who they want to be, what they want to see themselves do and achieve, like how they want to feel, like in the direction of their life. Something around self-discovery and self-awareness, which then they speak, so it's self-directed. They also have the access to the emotional. So again, tribal, individual, a collective can be one of those three different waves that they experience. So if a projector, again, their strategy is recognition and invitation. So if they've been invited, recognized, and then invited, and they want to accept that invitation, but they have an emotional wave, they can wait for clarity. There is no clarity in the now. So they need to wait for that wave experience, whatever that is. It goes up, it comes down, gently ratchets up. Or it can be fairly stable, and it's coming to understand the subtleties of the wave experience as well. So again, we're journaling. The wave's really good for journaling, but I would be journaling and tracking with any one of these authorities. The last type for a projector is a mental authority. So if they do have definition in the head, this is the only type that would look for guidance from sensory information in the environment. So it's not so much making a decision with the mind, but seeing how your thoughts are guided from the sensory information. So because the mind is accessing your eyes, and you've got access to your ears and your eyes there. So it's what you're seeing, and is it healthy and beneficial to go there? So I do recognize that there's a health component and that it feels beneficial. And with that sensory information in the environment, then you can, let that sensory information be the thing that guides your decision making. And soundboarding, again, it's not seeking advice, but it's speaking what you think you should be doing to someone, hearing them say it back to you, and then experimenting again with that, how that works and how that feels when you know that it's in alignment and you can hear what you desire. Or so if you've been projectors recognized and invited, so you go to a family member and you say to them, hey, I've got this offer, but I don't think I want to take it. and then the family member might respond to that, then the projector has this opportunity to, like, that's the soundboarding environment where they get to hear back, the person they've shared that invitation to, and what their response is to it. But it's not listening or seeking advice from that other person. It's really hearing the resonance of it repeated back to you, what you've said to them, or what they've said to you, and sort of like how that works with that original invitation. You're going to get some clarity based on that. And we've got reflectors finally. So clarity comes to a reflector over that lunar cycle, that 28 days. So they need to be very, very slow and resist the rush of the world. So when a decision comes in for them, they need to be holding everything back and saying, I'm not making a decision on this until, I'll let you know in literally a month. And to not be pushed to come to the decision faster than that. They may need 2 months or 3 months. I feel like it's like, just keep waiting for the next, like for another lunar cycle. If there's no clarity, or you're not sure, or you don't want to proceed, like, don't. Just wait a whole another month. The environment and people around them need to feel good. So because they're reflecting everything, like we were saying in a previous session, like they can become extremely sick. They can possibly be some of the sickest people we're likely to witness, and they may in fact lose their lives because of their reflecting a really poor community or a poor environment. So in order to make decisions that are right for them, each time they wait for that lunar cycle, if it's not feeling good, they need to really be resisting. Remember, it's resisting and sampling. They need to trust who they discuss matters with. So you wouldn't just ask any old person. They really have to have like an intimate connection of trust and value in order to get that good feedback from people. There's an element of soundboarding, but they kind of, in some ways, they need that protection, or they need to be, it's not protect, like, they're resilient as well. Reflectors, they shouldn't be seen as like completely vulnerable. They are resilient. However, I guess it's just that protection from rushed decision making. Again, because we have a lot of external stuff that's trying to pull us off course. So if we've got generators around that have quite a bit of strength and definition, then we have this opportunity to sort of hold things back for the reflector, at least have the patience, or encourage our reflectors to wait and slow down. And really, we can all slow down a little bit more, except for the manifestors. They should just go do what they got to do, but everybody else should slow down. There's no need for us to be working as fast as we are, but we get caught up with that external stuff. So with that being said, they were the more specific variations of authority types. I hope this is starting to layer on some understanding of the nuances between the types, understanding how the energetic type, the authority, the inner authority works, and experimenting with strategy and understanding how those types should be feeling in terms of satisfaction, success, surprise, and peace. We have one more session left, Play as Medicine, and I will see you there.